Hi, Martin Hamilton here from freedomvortex.com. And in this video, I want to share with you a concept that's changed my life to the extreme and think it's going to do the same for you. So what we're going to do today is, the question is, why are we doing what we're doing today, what we're going to do tomorrow, and the rest of our life? And an answer is probably one of the biggest questions you've ever asked yourself, and it is why are we living our daily lives? What the heck am I on planet Earth here for in the first place? And I know you've thought about this before. It's not your first rodeo writing this question out, right? And I've found that through the years, from talking, consulting, and working with all kinds and types of people from around the world, that some people struggle big time with this, while others just seem to flow into what's known popularly as a calling and really don't question it or look back. And through doing some deeper studying into the lives of those radically different beliefs of why I'm here, and it became vivid to me that some just found and fell into their careers and calling and place in the world, and they had these three things that were present in their life about 95% of the time. And the other ones that struggled with these with their calling and their place in the world had these present sometimes. Very, very rare. I mean, they just have it present, and then they'd go right back out of it. It's sort of like they oscillated in and out of sort of what it would be called a vortex. So they would sort of be in the vortex of these principles and flowing with them, and then all of a sudden be kicked right out, sort of thrown out like a drunken cowboy in a 19th century saloon in the Wild West. So here are the three reasons why we live our lives, and the three things that super successful people have in their lives 95% of the time, or more than that. And number one is to experience joy. Number two is to create. And number three is to feel exhilaration of overcoming problems from living. And the mastery of number three seems to be the big key. And you're going to learn more about that here in just a minute. But first, let's talk about the first two. Joy. What is joy? Is it fun, excitement, living in complete freedom? And another thing is that a lot of people have a problem with, is it okay to be in a state of joy almost all the time? But almost every waking hour to be filled with ultimate joy. And some people feel guilty if they feel joyful too long, too many hours in the day. If they're feeling joy, they feel guilty. And if you felt like that before, just stay with me here, because I've got a couple things that we need to talk about. And if you felt nothing but natural joy all day without any state-altering substances, now this is key, without using any kind of drugs, alcohol, or any kind of stimulants, what would that mean for you? What would that mean for you? And I'm going to do some more work. I've got quite a bit of things on addiction and overcoming addiction, and I've had so many of those cases in my life that have came up from people I've known. And I've got into the alcohol some. Fortunately, I was able to never get into drugs. And today, especially, so many are reaching for those type drugs, alcohol, and things to try to escape, and it doesn't escape, folks. It does not take you away from reality. It makes it worse. And I'm not going to get into that right now, but there's a time for that, and we're definitely going to cover that. And now let's go into the second reason why we're here, live our lives, and that's to create. Did you know we're born to create? Did you know, have you ever watched a toddler, and you put the blocks, the building blocks with the ABCs and stuff, and how they build those? They'll build them up and tear them down and build them again. And so what happens when we become adults? We have urges during the day to create, and even in your dreams at night, you have thoughts of creating, expanding for your own good and for the good of those around you. And here's a quick story, a little backstory for you to prove my point. When I was a teen, learning to fix cars became an obsession with me. We had an old car anyway, and it broke down a lot, so I had a lot of raw material sitting in the front driveway to work with. And then also had auto mechanics in school, high school, and that was fortunately being taught there for me. And through learning to troubleshoot and repair cars and vehicles, it gave me really the biggest thrill, well, except maybe throwing a 52-yard touchdown pass, but the biggest thrill pretty much in my life. And I was creating by solving problems. So, many people have taken that basic skill set too of auto mechanics and learned to work on cars, and opened huge businesses and created huge companies to help millions stay on the road so they can go to the store, take their kids to school, and things like that. You know, you get it. So the most disastrous thing that we can, or humans can do, is we get in our early 20s, and fortunately, we kind of begin to numb that creating urge that naturally surfaces in our daily lives, and that subconscious wave of need of create, expand, and show the outside world who we are, what we're becoming. We numb that out, and what we're doing is what we want to offer to humankind. We're suppressing it, numbing it, and we are really destroying it for not our good, but for our destruction. And what it is because as we get older, we merge the emotion of fear into the natural urge to create. And of course, you know, as we're kids and babies and stuff, we do things wrong, so we're told that's wrong, don't do that. So the fear becomes dominant. And so when the urge to create comes, we want to suppress it because of the fear. So we try to numb it out with numbing the fear. And you see with the toddler, they don't have this fear developed yet. And, you know, they just keep creating, they keep building, keep stacking blocks. It's like they can't help it. And it's really true because it's born into us. It's natural to a lot of us humans on our planet. So you with me on this? Okay, so now let's talk about the third reason we live our lives. I promised earlier that this would be the key one of the three, and it's feeling the exhilaration of solving problems we come up with while living our lives. You know, our lives at work, at home, even in our leisure, on our computers, building our dreams for our future. So one of our 26,298 days on average, and that's 365 days, 365 and a quarter days times 72 years. Yours may be less or it may be more, but as it's been said, no matter what, nobody's getting out of here alive. So do your best. Give it your all, feel good now, and appreciate who you are and are becoming. The third reason of feeling exhilaration, that third reason, and feeling exhilaration of solving problems, encounter from daily living and living our lives, the problem is that we've been brainwashed that problems are bad. And I'm not talking about the problem of going to prison for robbing like a Walmart or something like that. Now, if you're that far off, that's severe problems. So if you're even partially getting what we're talking about now, you're not going to have any kind of urges like that anyway. We're talking about problems like what kind of car to buy, where to attend school after high school, what kind of business to start, what to do with the profits from our successful business. And if things aren't working quite like you like, then what changes you need to make so you can get back on the right track. Once we can look at problems in this fashion as being good, life immediately eases and we sort of begin to float through our day. We begin to take more of a path of least resistance instead of feeling bogged down and even like we're sort of sinking into quicksand sort of thing. Once you quickly go into problem-solving mode through a developed habit, you'll see a big difference. Maybe you're already there and have something else you need to discover about yourself, but either way, it's one of the greatest epiphanies you'll ever receive when you turn that switch on and say, hey, instead of feeling heaped on like a triple scoop of ice cream with all these problems, with unsurmountable problems, you kind of say, hey, I'm going to create my life and guide myself into this solution. That automatically adds to your joy. Remember number one, and you're naturally deployed into number two, okay, which is the activation of creating. So that's what Freedom Vortex is all about. Taking the natural laws and principles that work every time, just like gravity, and employing them into your life and day by day, even hour by hour. So now you know the purpose of living on our incredible planet. You're getting ready to see how to implement these into your life so to be permanently installed inside yourself forever. For the rest of your life, at least. And this is very, very realistic. So it's important that I don't lose you into thinking this is some sort of science fiction or a fairy tale. You don't have to be a dreamer, or you don't have to be like Walt Disney or Henry Ford either, but did you ever think about the fact that you have the ability inside yourself to do something resulting in the same magnitude as those two men did? Those two had a bit of luck and really great, a lot of timing that was working for them. And who knows your field of endeavor, you just might have those two ingredients also working for you. So I don't really know, but at least you know one thing for sure. By the time you finish this video, you'll have the other part they had. And those were the three things that we're talking about. The three things in the vortex that they stayed in almost every waking hour, even sleeping hour of their day. And one thing's for sure, those two men sure had a great exhilaration for solving the problems that arose from living their lives and from the creating process.